So Wall Street fund managers are now telling the press that they believe Trump is actually clinically insane. The New Republic highlighted recent statements made from fund managers who think that Trump's behavior indicates that he might have lost his marbles. You think you're just coming around to realize that now? He's someone who continued to brag about cognitive exams and man, person, woman, elephant, or whatever the heck the exam was. By the way, he was doing that again yesterday when he went on Air Force One, which, by the way, he struggled to get into Air Force One. We've got the video here. He didn't know how to put the umbrella back to its original position, and he couldn't get into the door, and he got stuck pulling the umbrella through a door where the umbrella didn't fit. Then he goes on Air Force One. I don't want to play a lot of Trump clips on this video, so indulge me. I'll tell you what he said. He goes, "I just took a cognitive exam. It was a hard one. I took the exam. I did well on it. I did great. I did better than Biden on the cognitive exam." This is what he was talking about last night. So he goes on Air Force One, flies to Mar-a-Lago on the taxpayer dime, charging we the people, the taxpayer, literally tens of millions of dollars so he could go back to Florida and vacation again, over and over again. Every weekend, this is what he does. Now, before he left, as the bond markets are continuing to implode, as the dollar's crashing, as the 10 and 30-year treasury yields are going to levels that they should never be at all, showing stability as they continue to go up, reflecting great instability with the American markets as mortgage rates are now over 7%, as the euro and yen are rising, as I mentioned, the dollar's crashing, as China and their foreign ministry and Xi Jinping have made statements that they're never going to bow or submit to Donald Trump. This is what Donald Trump was doing yesterday. This was one of the big things he did. He took the portrait of President Obama in the White House and he got rid of it and he replaced it with an image of him in the Butler, Pennsylvania incident with his fist up. Tacky, disgusting, despicable, weird, you name it. And then the sources close to Donald Trump were telling CNN that Donald Trump's been telling people at Mar-a-Lago while he's vacationing and partying that he loves this shit. He says he's loving all of this, the chaos, the suffering. He says that he loves this shit. You take a look also, by the way, at Doge and its quote unquote attack on government waste, fraud, and abuse. Okay. Right now, there's more federal spending under the Trump regime by significant amounts than under former President Biden. Doge is a complete and utter failure. And when Donald Trump says, "I'm loving this S," what are you loving, Donald? You're loving that the people are suffering. You're loving that our former allies that you've alienated are working together, isolating the United States. They're coordinating strategies to dump American treasury bonds, to cheapen it. They're coordinating strategies to retaliate against you, and you're too busy talking about cognitive exams and how you love this S word and vacationing while attacking our allies that you have no clue, or former allies, I guess, based on what you've done, that you have no clue what's going on. What is it that you love, Donald? Do you love the fact that the Atlanta Federal Reserve is now predicting a GDP contraction in the first quarter of somewhere between 2.5%, so negative 2.5% GDP, and negative 3.7 GDP, when if you literally did nothing and let former President Biden's economy go on auto drive, it would have been 3.9% or even 4% growth. What are you loving, Donald? That there was a helicopter crash in the Hudson, another incident involving the Department of Transportation and the Federal Aviation Administration. Two planes clipped each other's wings at Reagan National Airport. There was another plane crash in Palm Beach. I mean, is this is this what you're loving? You're loving this S word. Consumer confidence is falling to its lowest point in 45 years. The University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey shows Americans across all political cohorts believing that there's going to be 6.7% inflation. As I mentioned before, mortgage rates are surging. The Social Security Administration, in addition to gutting 90% of its regional staff, is now going to be shifting all of its public communication to Elon Musk's social media app X. So if you're on Social Security and you need to know about your benefits or have issues, you can't go to a regional office. You have to go on Elon Musk's social media app. That's the plan. And by the way, are y'all hearing about that on corporate news? Or are they too busy still talking about former President Biden's cognitive, whatever they want to talk about? I remember under former President Biden, there were 16.2 million jobs created. There was record low unemployment. I remember there were 40,000 infrastructure projects, that GDP in the United States beat the entire world. I remember the Wall Street Journal under former President Biden said the United States economy was the envy of the world, and that other economic analysts said America had a Goldilocks economy that was being passed from former President Biden to Donald Trump. But you called him sleepy. He was sleepy. He's too boring for you. Well, are you not entertained now? Is this the type of entertainment you wanted as the Trump regime crashes our economy? As Larry Fink, the CEO of Blackstone, said, we're already in a recession, he believes, and the CEOs he talks to already believe we're in a recession. As JP Morgan, MetLife and others believe there's a 60-70% chance of inflation. Let me just take a look at what the White House claims that their major victories were this week. This is what the White House posted. These are their big victories. LA Dodgers and racing champions. That was your big victory. LA Dodgers and racing champions. Bilateral with Netanyahu. Bilateral what? You met with Netanyahu again as you talked about ethnic cleansing of Gaza, taking the people and moving them to other countries. That's your celebration. 145% tariffs on China, where China has now retaliated and imposed 125% tariffs, shut the China market down so no U.S. products could get in. It's economically non-feasible both ways. That's the win here, as China mocks you, as China's foreign ministry spokesperson calls you a barbarian. That's the win. By the way, China's cutting deals with Europe. China electric vehicles are going to go to Europe. They're working on free trade deals together. Australian beef in higher demand than ever. People just aren't buying from the U.S. Europe tourism to the United States going down significantly. Canadians boycotting the United States. Oh, by the way, Canadians on Vancouver Islands were out for the Resistance tour, packed house on the Vancouver Islands, watching Charlie Angus give a speech. And we got a nice shout out at the MeidasTouch Network. Here, watch the crowd at Vancouver Islands. Charlie Angus gave a shout out to the MeidasTouch. This was a cool moment though from last night. Shout out Maple Meidas. That's the MeidasTouch supporters. They know this in Canada. You're the Maple Meidas. Here, play this clip.
Ben Meiselas, anybody watch MeidasTouch? Ben Meiselas wants to say, he said to say hi. So why don't you say hi to MeidasTouch? MeidasTouch. MeidasTouch.
Oh, and by the way, I'm sure you know this by now, but store.meidastouch.com, 100% made in Canada. You know we wouldn't do it anyway differently. 100% made in Canada, Maple Meidas gear at store.meidastouch.com. And then there's also a bunch of other gear on store.meidastouch.com. But for the Canadians, Maple Meidas, 100% made in Canada. So Donald Trump went on the plane, Air Force One, to go back on his vacation. I don't want to play the clips. I just don't want to hear his voice this morning. So let me tell you what he said. I took a physical exam. I took a cognitive exam. I aced the exam. He said the bond market is going good. It had a little moment, but I solved the problem very quickly. I am very good at that stuff. It's actually up at 20 basis points since he claims he solved that stuff. It's higher, meaning it's worse right now, the Treasury yields, than when he said I solved it. He doesn't know I don't think he knows what a treasury yield is, a 10-year, a 30-year. I don't think he knows how the treasury bonds are auctioned. I don't think he understands how any of this works. Then he goes, we're always going to be the currency choice as long as you have somebody smart. The dollar is going to be the currency choice. When people understand what you're doing, I think the dollar will go way up. It's going to be stronger than ever. Currently, the dollar is crashing. Then Donald Trump just says a bunch of odd stuff. We're making a lot of money as a country now. We were losing billions of dollars a day now, and we're making billions of dollars a day. We brought it down to 10%, so that made it a little bit less. I did that because I wanted to be fair to other countries. A reporter asks him, can you tell us about the test? Did you take the man, woman, person, camera, TV test? And then Donald Trump can't recall what his cognitive test was. He goes, it was a pretty well-known test. Whatever it is, I got it right. I didn't play the clips. Okay. Our RFK Jr. gave a speech in front of the FDA on Friday. And during the speech in front of the FDA, it was a 40-minute tirade during which he made disability slurs, calling people the R word. He spread deep state conspiracy theories and accusations that agency employees were becoming sock puppets for industries that they regulate. Also, the Trump administration has ordered the State Department employees to report on any instances of coworkers displaying anti-Christian bias as part of its effort to implement a sweeping new order on supporting employees of Christian faith. That's what they're focused on here. And let's just take a look at what Republicans in the Senate voted against as part of what's called a vote-orama. This is where Democrats introduced amendments to the budget bill and the budget plan. And this is what Republicans voted against. They rejected ruling out tax breaks to the wealthy, tax relief for the middle class, reversing DOGE cuts to the Social Security Administration, rescinding tariffs that increase the cost of groceries, preventing Medicaid cuts, preventing increasing drug costs for elderly and disabled Medicare enrollees, prohibiting using commercial messaging apps to talk about military operations. So literally, the Democrats said, we want to introduce an amendment blocking the Trump regime from using text messages to talk about war plans. And the Republicans in the Senate said, nope, we're okay with that. We are good with that. As Don Winslow says, CNN is not telling you, but you could just say any corporate news. They're not telling you that the U.S. dollar is crashing. The euro is rising. U.S. consumer confidence has plummeted to the lowest point since 1952. And U.S. retailers are suspending orders and halting shipments as the global supply chain grinds to a near halt. We're telling you about it on the MeidasTouch Network because those are the facts. I think when you watch the MeidasTouch Network, when the news happens, you're not surprised because we're telling you, here's the data, here's the charts, here's what's actually going on. So it's not like all of a sudden breaking news. It's just, no, we're following this. We know what's happening. We'll keep you updated every step of the way. Hit subscribe, help us get to 5 million subscribers. We got a lot of videos coming out today, some great interviews with senators and other people. I think you're going to enjoy the programming that we have on schedule today. Remember, check out store.MeidasTouch.com and go to MeidasPlus.com as well. MeidasPlus.com. Thank you.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.